the 7th of January 2023, หลวงปู่ shared Dhamma with Vietnamese group at ผาสามยอด He began the session by sharing with the audience that he went to one of his disciples' father's funeral in Bangkok, and then he turned to Manning, said, how was I manifest, how was I presented myself in the show. So I said, you were very gracious and did well. So he said he went to a battlefield, like to go and share his blessing amongst the group of people, amongst like a big crowd. He can do it also. It's not just like hiding in his own way, but he also go into the crowd and share his blessing. Then he recited a verse going like, don't just know that a gloomy cloud got dirty from dust, but to know that dust exists in your mind. So get rid of it. He said this was the words from the Buddha himself. So I would elaborate this part a little bit. It means that don't just see defilement outside of yourself. Reflect it on your own mind. What caused your suffering? What is the defilement that is in your mind? It's not about the external causes that caused you to be unhappy or to have negative feelings and emotion. So always reflect it back to your own mind. หลวงปู่ said, don't look externally, look at yourself. So หลวงปู่ is using the Buddha's word to give us the warning that to look at yourself can bring happiness and peace. But if you look to find faults in others, you cannot find happiness and peace. It will also create enemies. Then หลวงปู่ is praising Rompotithama temple. He said Rompotitham is a mold. A mold means something that would mold someone or something into a specific shape to mold you, like how you mold the dirt, the clay, and it's become like beautiful plate and pan like that, pot. He said Lompo is very beautiful in this pleasant day. Rompotitham is already very beautiful and graceful. Though the Dhamma in Thailand is mainly Theravada, but Theravada open to other sects of Buddhism like Vajrayana and Mahayana can combine and merge with Theravada. All sects of Buddhism can be combined and harmonized and become one. หลวงปู่ said starting from 2 or 3 years ago, he is frequently and oftenly mentioned that he will be the leader that brings all different sects of Buddhism to harmonize and combine them into one Buddhism. หลวงปู่ said he have to make a clear statement that with his character he can be the leader because he is not over humble, he is not soft or too gentle. so he can be the leaders who can lead this movement of uniting all sects of Buddhism to become one. So he said, if you are not sure that he can perform the role of being a leader or not, you can ask Manning. So Manning can tell you how he projected himself when he went to the funeral in Bangkok. So I said, oh, you lead your role very well, not too humble and not too arrogant and very gracious. And again he asked directly to Manning, said, do you think my characteristic and attribute can lead this movement to be happening? So I confirmed, yes, you can. He said, with the look of him being undercover, he can be in both worlds, spiritual world and the worldly way, because if he wear monk's robe and then he only have to say bless you, Jalen Pon, it will not be so outstanding, it will not be so suitable to merge the world, the worldly world and the Dhamma world. So his way is the best way to how he project, the way he projected is the best way to lead and combine, unite the world and Dhamma, and to unite all sects of Buddhism to become one. He said his character is clear, that can lead the world to come to Dhamma, because if he is too soft, too humble, he cannot be the leader. If he is too arrogant, like too tough, or present himself in the way that people has to pay a lot of respect, like high position monk, then he also cannot lead the world to follow as well. Because when someone has to project themselves as being powerful, being high, like being His Holiness, it will not be natural. People will keep themselves away from the powerful figure. So he have to project himself in a natural way, in the way that is open, however profound, very deep and profound way. Then he recite the words that he wrote on the cover of his book called Grandfather from Mars, who has these attributes, which is steadfastness, decisiveness, peacefulness, toughness, humbleness, calmness, and firmness. All these qualities and attributes happen from practicing Dhamma. Buddha's Dhamma is the science or the subject that is very ultimate, very sharp, very wise, the sharpest for when comparing with other subject or other science is worth following. So don't go studying something that would not benefit you, or the science that is nonsense and not beneficial, not sharp. It cannot cut the root of all defilements and ignorance. because other science, not Buddha's teaching, cannot benefit you. So after you study Buddha's Dhamma, you should use this knowledge to benefit yourself and others. Other knowledges in the world is not sharp. It cannot benefit you because it's only worldly knowledge, and it can only benefit you until the day you die. But after you are dead, you will not know what is what. You don't even know where or which plane of existences that you will go to. However, if you study Buddha's Dhamma, study Buddhism, you will know all and everything. You will know all about existence, and well-rounded knowledge will be there for you to understand everything. So all in all, Luang Pu see that the audience that was sitting with him today, they are นักบวช They have reached the point of being great. It's the greatest point of everyone's life. You are so great that everywhere you go, if you are enlightened to Buddha Dhamma, people will bow down to you with respect. Buddhism now spreading all over the world, and it's the wave that people are giving attention to. In the Western world, now they are starting to start the war. They're only creating harms and offense. So we are much, much greater than their way. So Luang Pu confirmed that you are on the greatest standpoint. So now you seek to know yourself and see what is making you great. So set the determination and wills in continuing the path of being ordained. The determination to walk this spiritual path as being นักบวช is something great. So seek within yourself what makes you great. Is it your look? Is it your appearance? Or is it your wisdom? Are you great in having wisdom in the worldly way? Or are you great in wisdom of the spiritual way? If you think you are great because you have the worldly wisdom, you should know that it will finish or end the day you die. After you are dead, you don't know where is next, what is next, and that is it. So keep looking, searching, and finding what can make you great. Then he recite the verses that he always give us as the main teaching, which is มีน้ำใจให้อภัยเสียสละ มีน้ำใจ means to be generous or to be kind. ให้อภัย means to be forgiving. เสียสละ means to sacrifice or to make a sacrifice. He said in order to reach the point of having generosity, forgiveness, and sacrifice, you have to understand the Dhamma of the four principal virtues existence, or in Thai is Prom Vihan Si. Some translated this Prom Vihan Si to English as the four sublime states of mind: Metta, loving kindness; Karuna, compassion; Mudita, sympathetic joy; Ubekha, equanimity. Then he moved on to tell us about Theravada. What Theravada worship or give value and pay respect to is the noble ones, the enlightened ones. And Mahayana, they worship and pay respect and follow God or Mahabodhisattva. And Vajrayana worship and give value to spirit and soul. However, with all these differences, they can be combined and living together, practicing together. He said if the audience met him when he was younger, he would just command them like how he command his soldier, like everybody stand up straight, turn left, turn right, walk forward, stop. But now he is getting older. He will not give command, but he will ask his follower to uphold and practice Buddha's Dhamma, because now he knows that for anyone to become great, to become big, to become powerful, to become highly respected by others, is to have sublime mind. So only the mind that can make someone great is only at practicing the mind. Since he is at his old age, senior, with this seniority, he have seen a lot, he have done a lot, he have experienced a lot, so he can share with us what is the right way, because he have learned before we have learned, so he can see the whole picture and he can share these experiences and knowledge and wisdom with us. Then he asked Hung Le, the Vietnamese translator, that Luang Pu heard that Luang Po is going to Vietnam, and then he asked about the details of the trip and all that. And then he has a flashback of the time that when he was joining the war and living in Da Nang. He used to go out every night to have fun with the nightlife in Da Nang. Then he laughed at himself and he said, "Oh, I shouldn't tell you a lot about these things because I feel ashamed also." So he said he used to fight around Da Nang and Saigon, and sometimes he also helped the farmer to grow rice in the rice field as well. He said he is not just liking Vietnam, but he loved Vietnam. Then he laughed with joy and he said he think he has karmic connection. He have meritful connections with Vietnam and Vietnamese. Regardless of talking about past life that create these connections, only in this life, how he went and helped and support and also fought in Vietnam, it showed that he has meritful connections with the Vietnamese. He called it the bondage of the mind. Then he said in the past the war triggered because the Western culture, Western countries has interfered to the Asian countries and kind of like stimulate the war and make the war happen in this region. So he was fighting in uh, several wars, including Indochina War. He said him at young age and him now are different, totally different person. When he was young, he led his troop to fought in Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Altogether about 8 years, 7 or 8 years. So he he could say that he has conquered. So he said, if anyone is going to Vietnam with Luang Po, tell Luang Po to visit the base, the army base in Da Nang for him, to share the blessing there. And he said to those who are going with Luang Po to share blessing for him and bring Theravada Buddhism to share with the Vietnamese also. He said, in this life, I was born in Thailand, the Chao Phaya boy, and the birthplace was at Pu Luang, which is part of the mountain range of Phetchabun. So even he was born the Chao Phaya River's boy, but he grew up, and when he was a young lad, young man, he went for a swim in the Bien Hoa River. In Vietnam, then Luang Pu called Hung Le and Mangi in by the name that he gave, Nguyen Cao Hi and Nguyen Cao Ham, and then he just make a joke like, you should translate the meaning of your names that I gave to other Thai, and he laughed because it's quite dirty. And he told the translators, like, you don't need to translate this because it's not the way of Dhamma. It's just like having fun talk. He just make everybody laugh away. He said the reason he make us laugh is because humor can make us relax. He said life need relaxation, need to be released, relieved, and unwind. Then he told the audience, never be stressful, never be stressful. Let's have humor, be humorous. Then he sang a local Korat song, and he said, in this audience, he think only one person would understand this song. And then he sang in the local dialect, is my hometown, Manning's hometown, local dialect, and it also like have dirty meanings, but it was funny. So Manning was sharing with him about the time that Manning and Hua Xian went through Korat province, and we saw the local show near the monument of our heroine in Korat, and I told Hua Xian about Luang Pu life when he was a teenager. So Luang Pu said, yes, I was having a tough time and full of difficulties when I was in my teenage years. Then he turned to Hung Le and said to her that if you can read Thai, you should read these verses that I wrote. It is about Rak Ơi, or in English it's just like, oh, love. He said when he was younger and practiced Dhamma in the forest, he see flowers, trees, mountains, rivers, and all this natural scenery that make him became very poetic and wrote many verses. But today, nature has been destroyed. The forest tree has been cut, and the water in natural sources has dried up. Whatever he have seen when he was younger and practiced in the forest does not exist anymore. Wherever he look nowadays, it have all been changed. Then he recite the verses that he wrote when he saw fallen flowers. This one goes like โอ้ดอกไม้ที่ร่วงหล่นเอ่ยฉันจะทำอย่างไรดีเล่าหากปรารถนาจะเห็นเจ้าเบ่งบานและยังรักเมื่อยามเจ้าร่วงหล่น In English it go like oh fallen flowers what should I do if I wish to see you bloom your blossom and still love you when you fall so this is the true love. He said when he was young, he have a difficult life, and he wrote all these poems and verses and sent to magazines and wherever publisher that he can earn a little money to support himself. He said he has a lonely childhood and difficult life when he was younger. He has to fight a lot to survive. So he can write these poems and earn a little money to pay for his education and food and other living things. So he talked about his life that he has no father and mother to support him. He have no wealth or money. It's all gone. When he became teenager, he did very well in learning at high school. Because he was such a clever student, many people helped him, including his teachers. His teachers sometimes support him with money to buy books and pay for education fee. Because he did well in school, he could have been accepted to higher education. He could become a doctor or an engineer. But when he grew up, in that time, there were like famous marching songs that make young people want to go to the battlefield to become a soldier, and that also encouraged him to took the path of becoming a soldier. So he joined the army and become a soldier or fighter. He also passed the entrance examination for like soldier selection process, and he became like top score. However, the experience of going to war in Vietnam, in Laos, and Cambodia was a tough experience, and it create heaviness to his heart. So if you think the war that was happened in Vietnam was tough, he said, look at us, Thailand. We also have to go through rough and tough and heavy experience when we lose the war to the Burma or Myanmar, when the Myanmar took over the Thai capital, Ayutthaya. Ayutthaya was burnt down after lost the war. In the Ayutthaya time, Long Pu also was born at that time and carrying the sword and fought in the war also. But the time he fought in the war in Vietnam, his hand was carrying bomb and guns. Long Pu said that the World War III has already begun, is already started, but not yet announced officially. However, this time we don't have to hold or carry anything, just carrying our phone, mobile phone. So they will fight each other or one another by just like pressing the button to send bombs to destroy the adverse party on the opposite side. The world is cruel, and it will continue being in the cruel way. Or once we becameนักบวช, this is very superb. It's the best way, the greatest way. We are in the most gracious standpoint in our life. So we have to nourish this path. We should uphold the Sila, uphold the Dhamma, preserve the custom of being ordained well. He said the Dhamma practitioner orนักบวช or the ordained ones that still in kindergarten level, which means like very junior in Dhamma, will be destroyed or be killed by defeating to the skeleton, which means the look or the body, physical body of the opposite sex. They are deludedly admire the skeletons or the bone of this body. He said he was also that way when he was younger, when he was in the base of the army base of Da Nang. He also fell for beautiful women, good looking, young and good looking, opposite sex. So he said we should invite Long Po to share the blessing to Da Nang, and Long Po will see clearly how he was when he was younger. He liked to roam around and go out with his Vietnamese soldiers, friends in the army. Sometimes he go as far as Hanoi to have fun. However, he has no penalty or got blamed from going out from the base, but instead he got praise and got rewarded from his superior. So in conclusion, he has seen the suffering that happening in the world, and he has been ordained, he has beenนักบวช, and now he already see the way out of suffering. He see the path that he would take very clear now. He know and understand very well. He has clear comprehension of the Buddha's word. Today he has reached his old age and he has the opportunity to tell and share with you all. Now looking at the audience, he can see the greatness of the audience who become นักบวช However, you should preserve and take care of this form and this path very well and protect the greatness and keep saving this greatness well. And one day when you have a breakthrough and become enlightened, you should turn the wheel of Dhamma and share your blessing to the world and samsara